All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to AI React, where, we react to everything and anything. I'm Isaac.
And I'm Annie.
And, today we're diving into a song that's been like a lightning rod for, controversy, over the decades.
Yeah.
N.W.A.'s Fuck That Police.
That's right.
This track is it's raw.
Yeah.
It's confrontational, and it's really interesting how it continues to just pop up in pop culture and even political expression today.
For sure.
You've probably heard the phrase "fuck the police" before.
Yeah.
But we're going deeper than that today.
Absolutely.
We're going to be looking at the lyrics themselves from litras.com.
Okay.
And also some of the historical context that's laid out on Wikipedia's entry for the song.
All right.
So get ready for some really surprising facts.
Yeah.
And a real in-depth look at why this song, even decades later, still has people talking.
What's so fascinating to me about this song is that it's not just a protest song. It's structured like a courtroom drama. Oh, wow.
With Dr. Dre acting as the judge.
Really?
And each of the rappers delivers their verse as like a testimony.
Oh, interesting.
Painting this picture of life under constant police scrutiny in N.W.A. in the late 80s.
Okay, so let's unpack this courtroom setup a little bit. So Ice Cube, he steps up first.
Yeah.
And his verse is just explosive.
Oh.
You can just feel the anger and frustration in his voice when he's, rapping about being targeted for being young, black, and living in Compton.
Yeah.
There's one line in particular that hit me. He says, "A young nigga got it bad because I'm brown, and not the other color some police think. They have the authority to kill a minority."
Right.
And it's just this direct call out of racial profiling and police brutality, these issues that were just so ingrained in the system.
Absolutely.
Especially, in black communities.
And he doesn't just use like these broad accusations. He uses really vivid imagery to bring those experiences to life.
Like when he raps, "Searching my car, looking for the product, thinking every nigga is selling narcotics."
Yeah.
He's not just talking about himself. He's talking about the shared experience of constantly being under suspicion, regardless of whether you've done anything wrong or not.
Yeah, it's like he's saying that the color of their skin is enough to make them guilty in the eyes of the law.
Yeah.
And then there's this other line that really struck me. He says, "And on the other hand, without a gun, they can't get none. But don't let it be a black and a white one, because they'll slam you down to the street top black police showing out for the white cop."
Mm.
And it kind of points to the power dynamics at play, within the police. Even black officers are kind of pressured to uphold this system that's biased against their own community.
It really is. It's like a chilling indictment of the whole system. And it just raises the question of was there any hope for justice for anyone within that system?
Well, right after Ice Cube's verse, we get this glimpse of the reality outside of the courtroom, right?
Yeah.
The Arabian Prince gets pulled over for seemingly no reason at all.
Yeah.
And the cop just responds with, "Because I feel like it. Just sit your ass on the curb and shut the fuck up."
Wow.
It just perfectly illustrates this kind of arbitrary and abusive nature of police interactions that so many young black men were facing every day.
Yeah, it really shows the that constant surveillance and control by a force that seems to be operating outside the law completely.
Totally.
And then MC Ren takes the stand, and his verse takes on a very different tone.
Okay, yeah. So MC Ren, he goes from this outrage to almost like a defiance.
Yeah.
He raps, and the motherfucking weapon is kept in a stash box for the so-called law. Wishing Ren was a nigga that they never saw.
Yeah.
Is that a threat? Is he promising retaliation?
It's definitely provocative.
Yeah.
And he goes on to directly target police officers in the next few lines. "Make you think I'm gonna kick your ass, but drop your gat and Ren's gonna blast. I'm sneaky as fuck when it comes to crime, but I'ma smoke 'em now and not next time."
Yeah, it gets pretty intense there.
That's where the song becomes really controversial.
Yeah.
Can you really separate that violent imagery from the reality of police brutality at the time?
It's difficult to ignore the fact that the song was released in 1988. At a time when there was a lot of racial tension in Los Angeles.
Right.
The LAPD, they had a really bad reputation for aggression and abuse.
Yeah.
Especially toward young black men.
Absolutely.
So while obviously advocating violence is never acceptable.
Of course not.
Understanding the context does help us to, grasp the the desperation,
Yeah.
the anger that really fueled those lyrics.
Yeah, it wasn't just music. It was a reflection of their lived reality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that reality is emphasized even more in the next interlude, right?
Yeah.
The police, they raid Eazy-E's house.
Right.
Again, seemingly without any cause.
Mm-hmm.
It's this constant feeling of being, threatened.
It's like they're saying that the police aren't there to protect and serve. They're an occupying force.
Yeah. And then we get Eazy-E's verse. And he brings this totally different energy to the song.
Yeah.
It's less about anger now.
Yeah.
And it's more about, I don't know, almost bragging
Yeah.
about his criminal lifestyle.
Right.
He raps, I kick ass, or maybe it's because I blast on a stupid ass nigga when I'm playing with the trigger of an Uzi or an AK, because the police always got something stupid to say.
Yeah.
He's taunting the police.
Yeah.
Almost embracing that outlaw label that they've given him.
Totally. It's like this sense of hopelessness. Like no matter what he does, the system is rigged against him.
Yeah, and then comes this climax of the song. Dr. Dre, as the judge, delivers the verdict. Right. Guilty.
Guilty.
Obviously, it's symbolic.
Yeah.
There's no real justice being served. But it's still this really powerful statement.
Totally.
It's saying that the system is corrupt.
Yeah.
The police are the criminals.
Yeah. And the fact that the police officer in the song is protesting the verdict,
Yeah.
yelling obscenities, it underlines that point even more. It shows this refusal to acknowledge any wrongdoing, any need for accountability.
Yeah, so we've heard each rapper's testimony, their own unique perspective on this really fraught relationship with law enforcement.
Yeah.
What does it all mean when you step back and look at the song as a whole?
I think at its core, Fuck That Police is this unapologetic outcry against police brutality and racial profiling. It's this raw, unfiltered expression of fear, anger, and frustration felt by this community that was targeted and marginalized by the very people that were supposed to be protecting them.
And we can't forget, this song wasn't created in a vacuum. It was born out of a specific time and place.
Yeah.
A very real and very brutal reality in 1980s Los Angeles.
This song is more than just music. It's a cultural artifact, a snapshot of this community's pain and defiance in the face of injustice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's precisely because of that rawness and realness that it continues to spark debate and resonate with listeners today.
That's a great point. Now, speaking of the song's release, we got to talk about the immediate aftermath. The FBI's reaction is a story in itself.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So shortly after the song came out, the FBI actually sent a letter.
What?
Yeah, to N.W.A.'s record company, basically saying, hey, we don't like this.
No way?
Yeah, they claimed that the song misrepresented police officers and even encouraged violence against law enforcement.
Wow.
But instead of silencing the group, this attempt at censorship kind of backfired.
You think?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of just gave the song more fuel, It became the symbol of rebellion against authority.
Yeah, for sure.
And it attracted even more listeners.
Totally.
The FBI's letter, it became like a rallying cry for people who saw the song as, an expression of free speech, a voice for the voiceless.
Yeah.
And the censorship didn't stop there.
Really?
A bunch of radio stations banned the song, including Triple J, which is like this huge youth radio station in Australia.
Oh, wow.
But even that ban had some unintended consequences.
Interesting. What happened?
Well, the staff at Triple J, they actually went on strike in protest.
No way.
Yeah, and they played N.W.A.'s song Express Yourself on repeat for hours.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
It really is. It's amazing how this song that was intended to silence a group actually amplified their message and gave them a platform on an international stage.
Totally.
This whole incident is it's a perfect illustration of what we call the Streisand effect.
The Streisand effect.
Yeah, it basically means the more you try to suppress something, the more attention it gets.
Right.
So Fuck That Police, it became this cultural phenomenon.
For sure.
Woven into the fabric of music, film, television.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Remember that mockumentary Fear of a Black Hat from 1994?
Oh, yeah.
They have that hilarious parody song, Fuck the Security Guards.
Right.
Performed by this fictional group, N.W.H. Niggas with Hats.
Oh, that's such a, that's so funny. And it's such a brilliant satire. And it really just shows how much the song had become, ingrained in pop culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the 2015 N.W.A. biopic, Straight Outta Compton, features the song and the controversy around it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that scene where they perform it live in Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
Despite, police warnings.
Yeah.
It's electric. You can just feel the tension in the air as the crowd, erupts.
Oh, for sure.
The song's power to, provoke and ignite is undeniable.
Yeah.
But it's not just about entertainment. Fuck
Right.
the Police has. It's become an anthem for political expression and activism.
Yeah.
It's been chanted at protests against police brutality.
Yeah.
Literally around the world.
Wow.
From the Rodney King riots in 1992
Wow.
to the Black Lives Matter movement today.
It's incredible how these issues that they were rapping about back then are still so relevant today.
It's a stark reminder that those issues are unfortunately still relevant.
Yeah. So we've talked about the lyrics, the context, the impact, the controversy, but what about the music itself? Dr. Dre's production plays a huge role in the song's raw energy.
Absolutely. That heavy driving beat.
Yeah.
That menacing bass line. It just perfectly complements the anger and frustration in the lyrics.
Oh, really?
And then you've got those sound effects like the police sirens and the gunshots.
Yeah.
It just adds to that realism and intensity. It's like you're transported right to the streets of Compton.
Right.
Experiencing the tension firsthand.
Yeah, and we can't forget about Dr. Dre as the judge, right?
Right.
It just adds this whole layer of sonic drama.
Right.
It really makes the song feel like a real courtroom proceeding.
Totally. His calm, authoritative voice.
Yeah.
It provides this stark contrast
Yeah.
to the raw emotion of the rapper's testimonies.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, the song's musical elements are they're carefully crafted to enhance the message.
Yeah.
Everything works together to create this powerful, unforgettable experience.
Totally.
But let's move beyond just the technical aspects for a second.
Okay.
This song, it evokes strong emotions.
Yeah.
It makes you angry, uncomfortable, maybe even scared.
Yeah.
But it also forces you to think critically
Yeah.
about police-community relations.
That's a really good point. I mean, some people find this song really empowering.
Yeah.
While others find it offensive.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think contributes to those contrasting reactions?
I think the song's use of profanity is definitely a big factor. I mean, for some, it feels authentic, raw, like a true reflection of, their anger and frustration.
Yeah.
But for others, it's just a barrier to really engaging with the message.
Yeah.
And then there's, the violence in the lyrics.
Yeah.
I mean, some see it as like a justifiable response to police brutality.
Right.
But others worry that it could actually incite further violence.
Right. But don't you think context is key here?
Yeah.
I mean, can you really understand the song without understanding, the lived reality of police brutality and systemic racism that fueled its creation?
I don't think you can. It's crucial to remember that this song it's a product of its time, born out of this, very specific, volatile environment.
Yeah.
To just dismiss it as offensive is to ignore the very real pain and anger that it expresses.
Yeah, it's a reminder that art can reflect the ugliness of reality, and that discomfort can be a catalyst for conversation and change.
Yeah, I agree with that. But we also can't ignore the concerns about the song's potential to incite violence.
Right.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It's important to recognize that advocating violence is never the answer.
Right.
And that generalizing about, all police officers based on the actions of a few it's harmful.
Yeah, it's about acknowledging the nuances of the situation.
Exactly.
Understanding the complexities of police community relations.
Yes.
And engaging in thoughtful dialogue rather than resorting to generalizations and accusations.
I think it's about recognizing that while most police officers are not inherently bad,
right,
the system in which they operate
is
often flawed and in need of reform.
Absolutely.
We need to address things like, implicit bias, the militarization of police forces, and the lack of accountability for officer misconduct.
Oh. Yeah, these are really complex issues that require a multifaceted approach.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe fuck that police, as controversial as it is, can be a starting point for those those difficult but necessary conversations.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about our society
and the systems of power that perpetuate inequality. It challenges us to examine our own biases.
Yeah.
Educate ourselves about these issues.
Yeah.
And to actively work towards creating a more just and equitable world.
Totally. So while, fuck that police may not offer solutions,
Yeah.
it serves as this powerful reminder of the problems we still face.
Yeah, it really does.
Now, we've talked about the song's immediate impact in the late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
But how has the conversation around police brutality and racial profiling evolved since then?
Right.
Is fuck that police still relevant in today's world?
I think that's the big question. It's tough to say, on the one hand, you could argue that things have gotten better since the song came out. I mean, there's definitely more awareness of these issues now.
For sure.
Thanks in part to activists, journalists, and artists like N.W.A.
Right.
And, we've seen policy changes
Right.
and reforms aimed at addressing police misconduct and racial bias within the criminal justice system.
Yeah, and with cell phone videos and social media, it's a lot harder to ignore instances of police brutality these days.
That's true.
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
we're still seeing so many cases, particularly against people of color.
Yeah.
The Black Lives Matter movement really brought these issues, back into the national spotlight for sure.
Yeah.
This renewed sense of urgency.
Yeah, I think the conversation has evolved,
Yeah.
but it's far from over.
Correct.
We're still grappling with many of the same issues that N.W.A. was rapping about, over 30 years ago.
It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And fuck that police. It's maybe even more controversial today.
Yeah.
But it continues to, spark debate and resonate with people who feel marginalized and oppressed.
It's a reminder that fight for justice and equality isn't finished.
Yeah, it really is. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, what can we do? Anger and frustration alone, they're not going to solve the problem.
No, they won't. The song expresses those emotions powerfully.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, give us a blueprint for change.
Right.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah, that's the question.
I think for starters, we have to keep talking about these issues, even when it's uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
We need to listen to and learn from, people with different experiences and perspectives.
Yeah.
Especially those who are, directly impacted by police brutality and racial profiling.
Yeah, totally. It's about acknowledging the systemic issues, within law enforcement.
Yeah.
And pushing for real change,
Yes.
meaningful reform.
Mm.
And that means holding those in power accountable.
Absolutely.
Whether that's through voting or protesting or demanding policy changes.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember that this isn't just a problem for, people of color to solve.
Right.
It affects all of us.
Yeah, it requires a collective effort to create a society where everyone feels safe and respected, regardless of their race or background.
Well said. So the next time you hear "fuck that police," don't just dismiss it as some relic of the past.
Yeah.
Let it be a reminder of the work that still needs to be done.
Let it challenge you to examine your own biases,
Yeah.
to educate yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and to take action.
Yeah.
Because creating a more just and equitable world requires all of us to be engaged and to push for change.
Absolutely. Well, that was quite the deep dive into "Fight That Police."
Yeah.
A song that even after all these years,
Yeah.
continues to provoke and challenge and inspire.
It really does.
It's a reminder that music can be a really powerful force for social change.
Absolutely. It shows that art can spark those crucial conversations.
Yeah.
And hold up a mirror to the injustices in our society, urging us to do better, to be better.
And that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit challenging.
Yeah, keep exploring these issues. Keep questioning. And keep pushing for a more just and equitable world.
And as always, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. The podcast sponsor is in the description below, so go and check them out. Thanks.